Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to COASTER-net Updates. We've got some breaking news out of Carowinds. Actually, we have a lot of different pieces of news tonight out of Carowinds. Some old stuff, some new stuff, and some stuff in between. So, Danny, we did get an interesting new poster that we've kind of referenced in other videos than the Son of Beast video, but we felt the need to talk about it here, and that is a new poster was put up called the Calico Architectural Incorporated. Now, let me read it to you, I guess, right? Because that's what we do here. So
well, just based on the name, we're referencing one park that's not Carowinds. So
we are, and also interesting is the park that we are referencing is the one that was also referenced in another poster at Cedar Point, which was Knott's, that everyone seems to forget about. Everyone's talking about the Son of Beast poster at Cedar Point, but no one's talking about the Knott's poster with the cross over the Mississippi, where they talked about the Catawampus, and they talked about they had the Pony Express logo in there. No one's talking about that one. But here we see Knott's once again being referenced. It says, here at Calico Architectural Incorporated, it's more than a ride. It's an experience. We configure creative content, in quotation marks, for specialized locations that do business within entertainment venues. Turn to Calico Architectural Incorporated when your team is in need for fun, in capitals, ways to communicate your message. Our home roots began in California, and now we have expanded our company countrywide. With our latest project being in North and South Carolina, you'll soon understand the direction our company has taken to configure creative content for all to enjoy. Then it says at the bottom, from local contractors and in our team of skilled designers, we specialize in creating immersive sheds and buildings. Some of our other projects include blueprints for employee break rooms, corn cribs, chicken coops, mid-course break runs, beachfront boardwalks, camping complexes, and top spin structures. Now, that's interesting there, too.
So basically, they do everything, Andy. They do everything and anything that could possibly be coming to a park or not.
Well, you know, what's really interesting here is I just read a rumor today, and I completely dismissed it, that we know that Witch's Wheel is coming out of Cedar Point, but somebody said that they were putting a top spin in that location. I said, that's a stupid idea. But here, top spin is referenced in this poster. That they've been taking out top spins everywhere. Why would you put in a top spin?
Yeah, Dorney's, theirs got taken out. Valley Fair, Knott's has got taken out not too long ago, right? So, I mean...
Like, they're taking out top spin, but why would they reference it here? I don't know, but that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
What this is saying to me, though, Danny, is I feel like we're going to have a dark ride portion on this ride. That last show... We kind of speculated that maybe we would have some sort of inversion right out of the station, some sort of spin. But then, you know, we said that it would probably go into some, you know, turnaround to get to the first launch. And I'm thinking we might have a shed in that turnaround where, or not, maybe not a shed, but some sort of dark ride portion that you twirl down into like a snake. And then that's where you get all this creative or configuring creative content for immersive experiences. You know, they reference the shed. They obviously at the bottom of this, they have the shed doors that they also have on a different logo where they announced the date of this ride, that they're going to announce it on August 30th. And if you call the phone number on this poster, it also talks about August 30th. I don't know. Are we saying it's going to be a dark ride?
Well, and August 30th, 8:30 and 8:30 a.m. is when we've been getting all this information on Thursdays at 8:30 a.m. So I think there's a little bit of a connection there. But you know, that's fine. I think what we're going to see here is kind of what we've talked about before. I had suggested this before. You drop out of the station and do the barrel roll, which if we go by the leaked layout, it does appear to have a barrel roll right at the beginning of the ride. You know, a la Helix. The Helix does more of a corkscrew right out of the station, but I think you could do a JoJo roll style thing. And then you have a turnaround and maybe a block break section where you sit there, much like in the Mystic Timber Shed, except this is at the beginning of the ride. You know, I had almost said, you know, it'd be cool if if on Mystic Timbers you sat in the shed first and then you went on the ride, and then the roller coaster was there. But the shed is sort of the brake run part here. This, you would kind of do it in reverse, where you do the themed area and then you launch out. I could maybe see if they're, kind of going with the moonshine snake type theme here. Like I said, maybe the train is painted like a snake or is decorated like a snake, a la Diamondback. And you go through this barrel roll, and then there's this building that you're in and you sit in, and either you're attacked by snakes, or maybe the police show up, and it ties into the moonshine thing, and you're kind of in like a moonshine den, and you discover snakes, and you need to get away from the snakes, or you have to get away from the police, one or the other.
And you could have you in the shed at Mystic Timbers, you have multiple stories in there.
Sure.
So you could have multiple stories within this shed as well.
Sure could.
I should also say there is a final brake run too here that you could put the shed at the end too, but I don't think that makes as much sense as I think it'd be cooler at the beginning. Like you said.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense to do this. It's going to be the phrase tonight, a la Blue Flyer. Blue Fire. We're going to compare this to a lot of rides. Blue Flyer has a dark ride section prior to it. It's built into the storyline, and you launch out from this dark ride section. It may not be as extensive as Blue Fire's, but you could do something like that. I mean, clearly Mock Rides has had the practice of configuring a roller coaster in such a way for there to be a dark ride section at the beginning of the ride. So I think there's certainly plenty of history there, and there's plenty to suggest that this could be something they do. I think that's most logical at this point, and then you launch out and go through the ride. I think the ingredients that we've gotten, we've talked about, what some of the numbers mean. We've talked about some of the steps to prepare this, Granny Secret recipe. They talk about the roll at the beginning, and now they're talking about stirring. I'm not quite sure what that could mean at this point. I had thought maybe there's a turntable inside, or maybe you go out of maybe you load into the train backwards, or there's a turntable where you go through the barrel roll backwards, and then before the launch you turn back around forwards. That seems unlikely, but I'm not quite sure where the most recent one comes to us. It's very vague and doesn't really lend itself to any obvious happenings there immediately. So I'm kind of at a loss as to where this one goes. But I still think we're on the right track, no pun intended here, with the theme and, some of the events that might occur on this ride. And we're assuming right now that leaked layout that came out a while ago is still accurate at this point.
Yeah, and there's nothing to say that it isn't. Also on this poster, you had some interesting stuff on here with a concept art of the Beast Station that we also saw on one of the posters up at Cedar Point. We also see an old-style drawing of what looks like to be the Whitewater Landing / Maverick Station, which fits into the whole Beauregard Chamberlain and all that stuff being talked about.
Yeah.
And then up at the top, I cannot tell what that is above.
Yeah, it's flat, and I'm not really the best answer may be that it's actually really nothing. If anyone knows,
is that the Pony Express station or something, or because that's the only other thing that doesn't connect, and I don't know why they're connecting Knott's so much either. That's another thing that I don't quite understand, is why Knott's has been brought up in both the Cedar Point posters and now in this poster as well. Knott's is clearly being referenced. And I don't know why the Beast Station is there, unless they're tying it to Mystic Timbers somehow, and the Mystic Timbers logging company.
But I think this goes back to what you and I said, several weeks ago, that I think some of the original teasers, like the White Lightning and the Centurion with the Mean Streak logo, and everything else, and all the different mine companies, and referencing all the mine trains, for the Cedar Point Canada's Wonderland thing. I feel like in some regard they're just referencing other parts for the sake of referencing other parts, and not that actually means anything. Because at the end of the day, there's all these things they've been referencing, Carowinds specifically, there's no way they're going to connect the dots on all those. They just can't. There's no way to do it. They've referenced too much. They've referenced Twisted Timbers. They've referenced Steel Vengeance. They've referenced Mystic Timbers. Now they're referencing Twisted Timbers. I said, they're referencing the Beast now, Whitewater Landing / Maverick. There is no way that they can tie all of that together for this ride. So at some point you have to decide what's important and what's not. And for me, I think they're just using that as a backdrop. I think they're just using that as a backdrop for some of these posters, because it's Western, rural, country style buildings that fit onto the whole shed barn thing. It's architecture that kind of fits into what's rustic is the word I'm looking for. It's rustic architecture within their different parks that will fit the theme that they're kind of going for here, and they're using that as the backdrop. I don't think the Maverick Whitewater Landing Station and the Beast Station being on these posters means anything more than that at this point. I have no reason to believe that. Now, maybe next week we'll get more stuff, and who knows what's going to happen. But I have no reason to believe that all of this stuff is related to this ride directly.
And then we have another image here where they where they talk about the actual announcement. So it says the biggest announcement in Carowinds history is coming August 30th. Sometimes gossip can be downright intoxicating. Find out what all the fuss is about when we reveal our biggest secret. And on the image, you clearly see jars of moonshine. You see the snake.
Yep.
This, once again, is tying everything back together to what we've been talking about. That from the very beginning with the dark ride, with the Copperhead strike. So this to me is one of the most straightforward of everything. And I think we've nailed it right on the head with the Copperhead strike, with the moonshine theme. But there's one other piece here that many different sites have posted pictures of supports showing up at the park. And they are kind of what I would call a Shoot the Rapids brown color. They're not
like a dark, deep brown. They don't have a lot of that gold color in there. It's like a mulchy dirt brown that almost has more gray in it than gold.
And to me, they're very short, so they could be for that opening, twirl into the station. I said, what if these supports are being used within the barn, and that's why they're so dark, to make it look like dirt, or just to be not seen at all. So maybe this isn't the actual color of what the ultimate track is going to be at the park. And it would make sense for them to bring that track in first, because you're not really giving away a whole lot, that those aren't the colors of the ride. And they could be. I don't know.
Right. Well, and I had predicted that we would see like a darkish brown support, and then maybe like an orange, copper, tan color track, I think would make the most sense here. So, if that's the color of the supports themselves, score one for me here. But I haven't seen any track yet, so we'll have to see. Those footers, or the rebar and everything, seemed like they were a brighter, like a sandy tan almost. So maybe you're onto something there with the dark ride section.
Yeah, and even like it depends on how they structure the whole story of this. And if there is a dark ride section, that would be a perfect color to put on the inside. Because it's not going to be seen. And if you're doing that roll out of the station, you need a transition between those places as well. So. You're probably not going to use the brightly colored track going into a shed,
right?
So it wouldn't make much sense. So this is getting kind of interesting here. Much easier than what's going on at Cedar Point to kind of dissect this stuff.
I think we're very close with the Carowinds thing here to really getting into some of the stats, because we've only got a few weeks left here, and if they're giving us stuff on Thursdays, we've only got a couple Thursdays to go. So I think we're going to start getting some numbers that actually mean something.
So we actually only have 2 more Thursdays, and then the third Thursday is going to be the announcement. So we should expect 2 more pieces of information before we actually get to the actual announcement here. So
yep, I think so.
So as always, thank you for joining us here on COASTER-net Update. I'm, of course, Andrew Barczyk from Chicago, Illinois.
And Danny Miller from Binghamton, New York.
Right on, Ride Warriors.
See you guys.